What's the best sexual experience you've ever had? I would say when my girlfriend and I booked a hotel room that was in one of the tallest buildings in Shanghai. We were on a layover and was super horny, as we did not get a chance to have sex during the entire trip. As soon as we entered, huge hotel room with giant windows on the 80+ floors, facing the night lights of Shanghai and Pudong. We literally tore our clothes off and had sex with the windows wide open, taking photos and recording it along the way. If anyone was in that office building across the street, they could have easily seen us. We did not care. Also, the bed was nice and soft AF. I told my ex-girlfriend that I have a foot fetish. She'd never been with a guy like that before, so she told to wait a bit before she tried anything with her feet. The following weekend I go over to her apartment and she gives me the first foot job I ever experienced, and I had one of the best orgasms of my life. Come to find out she spent all week reading QA boards and watching foot PRN to understand the technique. I could never come from a blowjob. A few girls thought they could and got their pride hurt when they couldn't. Just wasn't my thing, I guess. Well, my wife took on herself one day, put her hand at my base and told me to FCK her face and don't worry about hurting her. Her hand kept me from hitting the back of her throat but let me do as I wanted. That was all it took, I guess. Oh, grave a circumflex a diaresis. It was really something special that she trusted me not to hurt her and do what I felt need to get me off. Little backstory. Lost my virginity to an ex and dated for 2 years. She was okay in bed. Nothing special. I didn't particularly enjoy the blowjobs, so I just assumed they weren't for me. Fast forward 2 years and we're broken up. Bring a girl back from work and we're fooling around. She decides to go down on me and I roll my eyes and say to myself, God, here we go. Turns out my ex was shitty at blowjobs. I saw colors for the first time. Blowies rock. I was in a bar parking lot with a friend. She was up against her car and I was leaning next to her. We started to make out a little bit. And after a while I unzipped and pulled her pants down a little and penetrated her. We started around 10 minutes until closing time. And unfortunately her car was parked right by the door. So all of a sudden, as I am grinding her, all these people start to walk out. So I stop and have my arms around her, making it look like I was just hugging her. It was extremely intense and we were laughing afterwards. You should talk to Uedna one. He also hugged a girl once. Honeymoon. Sex on the balcony on one of those big comfy round outdoor couch things. It started raining halfway through and we just kept on going. It was awesome. F-king my ex-girlfriend with her on top. I had a finger in her ass while she was riding me. I could feel my own dick with my finger. I mean, I was high. But the idea itself that I was inside of her and feeling myself inside of her from different holes was mind-blowingly SI. The classic Adele. When I was 18 I was at this girl's house and it was just me, her and her friend. Out of nowhere, I had never hooked up with either of them. Girl 1 said, let's see how quick we can get jealous hard. Being 18 I was hard before she finished the sentence. And they proceeded to give me blowjob. Both of them. At the same time. Best 5 minutes of my life. 5 minutes, look at the big shot over here. My now husband. Then boyfriend had told me that he didn't care for blowjobs, so no worries in that department. I was flabbergasted and asked if he knew what he was saying. He insisted that he had gotten them before and didn't care for them. I kind of took this as a challenge, and since we were having this conversation mid-shower I decided to get on my knees right then and there. Let me mention really quick that we lived with 6 roommates and they were all home. Anyway, I give what I feel was a regular blowjob. Nothing too extra. Just a run-of-the-mill blowsy. His eyes rolled to the back of his head. He collapsed on top of me and at least 4 roommates were asking if we were okay through the bathroom door. I was trying to hold him up as he was trying to recover, as 4 roommates were trying to break into the bathroom because something was wrong. Literally my proudest SZUL moment. I broke my now husband and it took very little effort. I tried internet dating for the first time in my mid-20s. I met a woman in her mid-30s who had just recently got divorced. I think she got some kind of settlement. She bought a new car, a new condo and a new set of tits and was looking to spread her wings so early. She was an emotional train wreck, but my god. Could that woman ever FCK? She was so wantonly SLTTY in the bedroom. She would do anything I wanted. It was like having a personal SX robot. She had such an incredibly high motor. Even 25-year-old me couldn't keep up. There was absolutely no satisfying her once she got going. My penis would be waving a white flag and crying for help by the end of our trysts. Nothing too crazy. My wife and I gave each other full-on massages by candlelight, culminating in some very passionate F-king. Lewd. When I was 19 I went skinny dipping with 2 girls at a creek. Got a BJ from both of them at the same time. One was teaching the other some techniques which I found particularly hot. Had a threesome with a British and Australian chick in Chiang Mai, Thailand while drunk off our ass. They took turns on me to see how many times I could ejaculate. Best time of my life. If it was me, that second girl would have been very disappointed. Probably the first time I smoked before having sex. We took our time with everything and we were both able to finish multiple times and afterwards we fell asleep while eating Little Caesars. 10/10. FCK it. I'll bite. One time my boyfriend and I ate a very large quantity of marijuana edibles. I don't know the MG. They were made by a friend. And started to have sex. The weed. Plus my incredibly low tolerance to weed. Plus my boyfriend's magic fingers. Resulted in an incredibly intense orgasm. I'm talking my eyes were closed. But I could see and feel colors radiating out of me. It was super. I was worried that sex wouldn't be the same sober after that. But luckily it's still been pretty great. Not rainbows coming out of my PSSY great. But still great. Edged with a girl over voice chat. She wouldn't come until I did. And vice versa. We're still going to this day. You come first. The first time I did an L with my current BF and realized that I really enjoyed it. I came in a way that I had never done before and it was f***ing amazing. I hugged a girl once. I can't decide between two. I always wanted a threesome. So when I got to eat out a girl while her BFF kept me from behind. That was pretty amazing. F-king her with a strap-on was a huge fantasy I got to fulfill as well. Second is probably my first real experience with roleplay. I was dressed as Harley Quinn, just a version for those who care, and he had me tied to the bed and blindfolded and pounded me like crazy. So, yeah. That was nice. Tit FCK my small-chested friend. Then we cuddled until we fell asleep. It was amazing. It also boosted her confidence. This thread is currently active as my SX life. No worries though. I'll come back later so I can be more disappointed. Nice. OP is just skipping the foreplay that most of these kinds of threads have and just going straight to what is the SZest SX you've ever said. I went on a really nice first date with someone I'd been talking to through a dating app for a week or two. At the end of the date he suggested we go back to one of our places to talk and I said yes because it had been at least a year. Gaddam he took me to Pound Town. 3 hours of kissing. Fondling. Grinding. F-king. Then F-king again and again. He was the first guy that actually cared enough to make sure I orgasmed. More than once. Coming from an ex who didn't ever want to try anything different from missionary. It is really nice being with someone that wants to experiment. He also tells me what he wants in bed and listens to what I want as well. I'm seeing him again this weekend after a month-long absence and my vagina's tingling thinking about it already. My GF and I went to the mountains of TN last year. We had SX in the hot tub that was on the back porch of a secluded cabin, overlooking the mountain and the pouring rain. He was honestly one of hottest moments I've ever experienced. She got on top and rode me until we both came. It was amazing. For me was with my ex-wife. Inside my car and each of us with 200 UG of LSD. We lost time space and we had sex for 5 hours without even know how. I gave my husband a 4-hour blowjob in the backseat of my car high on morphine. I had just gone through a breakup and my best friend, who is female, came over to drink and console me. The whole night she's texting someone. Then she suddenly says, okay, we gotta go meet mutual female friend. I think nothing of it and we go out to meet up with her. Long story short, my friend orchestrated a threesome. Weirdly enough, the woman I would later marry was in the next room hanging out with my roommates. On a technical basis the sex was decent. But still, I can say I had the good kind of threesome. And no guy who looks like me should ever have that chance. One of my best friends asked me if I wanted to play Ocarina of Time for nostalgia. I just got to the Kokiri sword when she grabbed me head and kissed me. Her and I then passionately FK'd while the Kokiri Forest song played in the background. Amazing time. We dated for a few months afterwards. Was getting close to an orgasm one time with my man while he was behind me. It's pretty hard for me to come, so I was getting excited. He lost control, grabbed my hips, and thrust hard and jerked, rubbing my spot and then ejaculating right against it. That sensation of his cum against my spot made me start to cum. It was the first time he felt my orgasm while inside me. I tightened up so much that I pushed him out. But because he was holding my hips, he didn't get pushed out. Made him come harder. Then I came more. For like a full minute. It was grand. Made eye contact with my classmate once. 10/10 would do again. Jesus. Save some PSSY for the rest of us. It's cliche but sex on the beach at night. The woman I was madly in love with riding me framed against the stars with Julius the right tequila buzz swirling in my brain was surreally perfect. Making this 35-year-old MILF squirt for her first time. Best feeling. My at the time girlfriend agreed to a threesome after joking about it. The other girl was a close friend of mine, whom I had a major thing for a few years earlier. After we got a little tipsy, we invited her upstairs. I was so nervous and excited I couldn't get hard. We ended up just orally finishing each other. I know it doesn't sound like the best, but having a threesome was 13-year-old me's dream come true. I definitely read that as you had a threesome when you were 13 and I was a little jealous for a second. Ended a relationship but decided to continue hooking up. Plus also started flirting with 2 other girls. Would stay over at First Overnight BC Familiar and OKW sleeping there. And have sex in the morning, then classes till around 2 PM and go to number 2 who had an oral fixation and loved giving blowjobs, so that'd be different, then do some homework, drink whatever, and number 3 in the evening. This schedule went on for about 2 weeks and I felt like a living god. The night my daughter was created, I remember falling asleep feeling safe and warm. Like love was pouring from my soul. And I was wrapped in love. Looking back, in that instant, I knew we created life. Less than 3 weeks later, I confirmed it. Life is funny. We have this beautiful comment about passion, safety and love. And then we have the guy up there who got FK'd in the ass while this girl was watching just weeks before he met the love of his life. Reddit is truly a beautiful place. I banged Princess Diana so hard, I convinced my partner to choke me in bed. I fainted. It was the best feeling, just fading out of existence and waking up to dick inside you. I don't know how to describe the feeling to someone who isn't into this kind of thing. But it's kind of like falling asleep. Your whole body tingles and you hear ringing in your ears. But it's completely painless. Waking up and becoming slowly aware of being pumped with dick is really surreal. 10/10 recommend. The first time we tried it, I woke up to my partner slapping my face and shaking with terror. Apparently it was scary watching me disappear behind my still open eyes. Didn't kill his boner though, because I know it freaks him out. I never ask to be choked anymore. Sometimes he's in the mood for it though. And that is always the best sex. I once took a train to Munich when I was horny teenager and sat alone in a little enclosed section of the train. At some point the man entered. We didn't talk but had eye contact. Long story short, he closed the drapes and sucked me off all whilst not saying a single word. Thought about that while jerking off for years to come. Me scusy. Me scusy. I once had a girl slide a finger down back while ejaculating. As I finished and began to pull out, her fingers sank deeper. I was trapped. It was glorious. Painful and sensational all at once. Wasn't really sexual but might as well have been. My crush was massaging the back of my neck. I swear I almost jizzed. I stumbled into a giant line of hookers in Irapuato, Mexico while pretty high on coke and flush with cash. Got 4 of them to FCK the shit out of me. Banged a chick named Molly. While on the Molly. It was nice. I put Pepe in Ven. Found a trucker on Grindr. In town for the day. Big, tall dude. Like 6'4" and pretty damn chubby, which I like. Told me he was a dom and wanted to experiment with submissive men. So I go down to the truck stop. Slink my way around into his truck. The fun starts. We talked quite a bit for a while first. He tells me he's married. But he's only home 2 days out of the month and that both he and his wife agreed it's better if they mess around so they're satisfied. We talk about fetishes. And it turns out we like a lot of the same things. We talk about all the things we like to hear. Things we like to do. Things we like to say. It all matches up. Let me tell you. I never would have guessed that the best sex I've ever had involving nearly every single one of my fantasies for about 3 hours would take place in a semi. And it was amazing. He now gives me a text whenever he's back in my state so we can meet up and have more amazing sex. This one time a ton of internet strangers posted their sex stories on my thread and I had a quality wank over it all. I handheld with a girl once. She was portable. FCK this thread. Try 20 years. It sucks. I saw title and hoped reading this thread would make at least the top 5. But currently it's barely pushing top 10. Because asking a redditor what his best sexual experience was is like asking Stevie Wonder what his favorite painting is. My GF knew I wanted to enter the forbidden cave around back. She once said let me shove a broomstick up your ass first. Then we can try it. I contemplated her offer and waited for a more rewarding opportunity. It came when she asked me to rub some cream on her legs. My hands eventually made it to the dark side and she seemed to like it. She wanted me inside her but I wasn't through playing with the dark side. Then she said no. I want you in there. Yippee ki yay mother effer. I break down the walls and enter the dark side. I will never forget looking at her blissful face when she said it's supposed to be in there. Couldn't have planned it any better. So how was the broomstick? Had a threesome with 2 Asian girls. Sure I paid for it. But still. Trust me. Everyone pays for it. Your girls just got the money up front. The one with ups mom for not using a serious tag. Every time of my current relationship is amazing honestly. He's a generous and amazing lover. But the best? The first time he pulled out in the middle of it and went down on me for a while. Then went right back at it. I'd never had someone do that before. And there was just something incredibly SI and almost carnal about it. Like he loves being inside of me but he loves going down on me so much and making me happy and feel good. He couldn't contain himself and had to make a quick visit downtown lol. He always makes me feel amazing. But in that moment he showed me he 100% meant everything he's told me he feels about me, my body. I've never felt S0 in my almost 31 years. And once he was actually back inside of me within a few minutes I came so hard my F-king ears were ringing. Like a legit wave. Huge build up to it. The crest, which felt like it lasted forever. And little aftershocks. Sorry, but that's the classic I'm gonna come too soon move, so pull out and go down. 6 or 7 years ago. Responded to a Craigslist ad. Guy looking to engage in some mutual skin flute playing. We ended up not being able to connect individually. But he invited me to an orgy at some other guy's house. I was a bit nervous. Me and another guy were the youngest there by far, which was fine by me. And it was my first time doing anything like this. Well, I started sucking a guy off. The other young guy came up behind me and started remming me. That was amazing. Then we moved to him F-king me while I blew the other guy. It eventually ended up with me getting F-ked on my back. With my dick in a guy's mouth and a dick in my mouth. Whoa. Just wow. That's gay.